So here is my Rugby Ranter Banter England 23 to take on the Boks I forgot where they're playing. Somewhere at altitude, for God's sake. Anyway, I'm recording with my camera, and I just realized that my notes are on my phone. When I say my camera, I mean my phone. So that's not going to do me any bloody good, but I don't think I need them. I think this is very straightforward. Naming the 23. Now, generally, we're all England supporters. We're all extremely pessimistic of our chances. And for good reason, which I'll get into. But we do have a chance, and this is how we do it. I'm going to name, first of all, the front row, of course. The front row, a lot of people have been worrying about the front row. And I think that's because it's more of a testament to how good the South African front row is and how good their scrum is than to any issues with English rugby in that department, because the starting front row picks itself: Ellis Genge, Jamie George, Joe Hayes. They're all top quality players. That's not anything to worry about. Can they compete with South Africa at scrum time? I don't know, but it's not something I'm super worried about. I think they can get parity. And then the replacements, I'm also actually way happier with than I thought I would be. Beno Obano at loosehead is a bit of an unknown quantity in that he hasn't played for England much. And I've seen him have great games for Bath, and I've seen him have poor games for Bath. But I do think I've seen enough of him to believe that he is a international prop. Now, tight head, I absolutely love Kloska from Bristol. Nobody else seems to be excited about him, but this is such a great opportunity for him to come in and show what he's got, because he's massive. He is a good scrummager, but more importantly, he gets around and throws his weight around. He is a dangerous attacking player. I'm really looking forward to seeing him. I would love to see him, I think Joe Hayes deserves to start, but part of me would love to see Genge and Kloska starting together. And hopefully at some point that will happen. Second row. Here's where it gets tricky. Tricky. Because, put my glasses on, I can't see things. You would normally have Maro Itoje guaranteed starter, and then you'd probably want to have him alongside George Martin, or at least I would, so that you can put Chesham at 6. And to be clear, I think Chesham's best position is blindside flanker. He's great at lock, but I prefer him at 6. And I think if you have a huge man like him at 6, and then a good mobile ball snaffling open side flanker like Sam Underhill, you're good to go. And you can have any kind of number 8 you want. You can have a smaller, more mobile number 8 like Ben Earl. The problem is, if with Maro unavailable, if you have Chesham and Martin at second, if you have Chesham in the back row, then you have to fill in for him at second row, and it's Alex Coles and George Martin. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Alex Coles, and he's, probably in better form than anyone else at second row. And he's definitely good enough to play international rugby. I just worry that, my glasses are fucking filthy. I just worry that against South Africa, I hate hearing myself say this, but I feel like Alex Coles, he's big, he's mobile, and he can be aggressive, but I worry he's missing just 1% of real nastiness that I want at second row. And I could well be wrong about that. He could easily prove me wrong, but I don't think so. And for that reason, I have to have Chesham and Martin starting together. That partnership gives me a lot more confidence than Coles and Martin. I hope that makes sense. And then by doing that in the back row, here's where it's going to get incredibly controversial. Okay? Or at least it would if anyone gave a fuck about my opinions. So no Chesham at 6. I'm having Guy Pepper. Guy Pepper at 6. At 7, I'm having Tom Curry. Now, I can't believe I'm picking Tom Curry, but I'll explain why in a minute, because Tom Curry has not played enough. I haven't seen enough from him in a while, and we've got really good options in the back row. Tom Curry is and has been world class. But is he at his best right now? I don't know. He didn't look that great against France in that A game, to be honest, although that was a stupid game, and I don't want to judge anyone too harshly on that. But I'm picking him, and I'm just gambling that he's going to bring the fucking thunder and bring his A game and be the stuff of nightmares that he can be for teams. And then at 8, Ben Earl. Now, I know what you're thinking. No Henry Pollock in that back three, that back row. And if you listen to my podcast, I've been hyping up Henry Pollock. I mean, no more than anyone else has, but he is fucking great, right? So you're like, oh my God, where is Henry Pollock? He must be on the bench. He's going to use him as a sub. Guess what? He's not. He's not on my bench. He's not in my 23. Yes, and the reason for that is this. Fuck you, South African supporters. Fuck you. This is what they do. And you might think this is the pussy's way out, but it's not. It's a psychological masterclass, all right? Henry Pollock is the thing that the South Africans are using. They have to have a stupid, made-up, bullshit little storyline to motivate themselves. They have to feel in some way they have been slighted. It's either there's a global conspiracy against them, they always have that, or the referee was racist last time, or they've been disrespected somehow. They're always feeling and in this case, they feel disrespected and offended because another nation has the audacity to rate one of their own players. Don't get me wrong, Henry Pollock is annoying. I've said that before. I'm a Saints fan and an England fan, and I find him fucking annoying, although less annoying over this last season. I think he's just performed really well. And I don't understand. I wouldn't understand why the South African supporters en masse seem to have this attitude of, oh, please, Steph du Toit, please kill him. Please kill him. We're going to show him. And I made the mistake of reading some comments from South African supporters who were the least sporting rugby fans in the world, with some exceptions. And by the way, I just remembered, I said years ago, I think, or at least a year ago, that I was going to create a ranking of the worst rugby supporters internationally, and I will do that. I've been saying it for a long time, but eventually will happen. Anyway, what was I saying? I read the stupidest comment I read was from some moron out of millions of these morons who goes, oh yeah, I can't wait to see Henry Pollock get taken apart or something like that. They thought Maro was going to be good and that didn't work out well for him. And I said, I had to reply. I shouldn't have, but I did. I was like, it didn't work out well for Maro Itoje. You're talking about the multiple premiership winning, Champions Cup winning, Six Nations winning, British and Irish Lions tour captain, victorious captain. That Maro Itoje, you don't think it went well for him? And now I know what they meant. What they meant was England went to play South Africa. We had a player that people said was a great player, and he didn't single-handedly destroy the Boks. He didn't go on the pitch and humiliate them and destroy them. He just played his game against the best team in the world. So this is how they do. This is what they do. They go with Pollock. They're doing it. They say, "Oh, he's the greatest," or they think he's the best player ever, which we don't. They think he's going to take our team apart. They're arrogant. And by the way, Henry Pollock he must be so annoying for any non-English fan, because doesn't he really kind of epitomize everything that everyone hates about the English? This arrogance and kind of like, it's cringy, isn't it? I imagine that's how a lot of people see the English. All right. But, they're looking at him and going, the English think that he's the greatest player in the world and that they're going to beat. And it's like, no, actually, we all say he's playing really well and he could be world class one day. And we probably can't beat South Africa. He might be in the team because he's probably one of our better players, but he's not even guaranteed to start. Like, so for my thing, psychologically, this is my thing. The South Africans want this script where they go, they think X player is so great and is going to beat us single-handedly. And so every single tackle, and guess what? If Henry Pollock plays, he'll get tackled. And he might get tackled hard because that happens to him all the time. He's not that big. Players get hit in international matches. Every time they tackle him, it will galvanize them because they're fucking idiots and they will, well, they're bullshit artists, and they will feel some sense of moral victory every time. And the team will feel it from the fans, and it will energize them. And they need that. They need that not to win. They could win without it. But I'm telling you, if Henry Pollock isn't in the squad at all, there goes their main motivation. And yes, they'll say that we were cowards. They'll say Henry Pollock was too scared. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because, of course, Henry Pollock wants to play. Of course, he's not scared. In fact, he probably will play because he is probably the best option. But I myself think this is the strategy to beat them. I think you don't pick him. You fucking lie. You say he's injured. Whatever. They don't get to have that motivation. And you have this, Guy Pepper is not significantly worse than Henry Pollock. He's actually better than him in some ways. So I think that's the way to go. It won't happen. And even as I say it, I could be very wrong. That might just be not picking your best player because you're an idiot. Me, I've got an insane idea of what, and maybe it wouldn't make any difference to the South African team, but I think it would because I've seen it so many times, this kind of bullshit with them. So who's on the bench for the back row? Now, if you listen to me regularly, this is going to make no sense to you at all. But I'm doing a traditional 5-3 split is what I think I decided. Or maybe no, I didn't. Shit, I can't even remember. So I'm just going to make it up as I go. But covering the back row, of all people, I'm picking Greg Fisselau. Now, chill out. A lot of you, especially Chiefs supporters, are furious with me all the time because I constantly say I just haven't seen anything special about him. Like, all the hype I don't get. I mean, I sort of get it because I was a huge fan of his when he played under 20s. And I thought this guy's going to be amazing. But I haven't really seen him progress. That being said, I don't watch all of the Exeter games. I don't always get to. And I could well be missing something. And I do think physically he's got the goods. So it might well be a masterstroke to have Fisselau come on relatively early. They don't even know who he is. They most likely don't know anything about him, and they won't be prepared for whatever strengths he does have. And he could end up having an amazing match and could be more influential, positive, have more of a positive impact than Henry Pollock would if they're covering him and like trying to take him out of the game. So that's what I would do. Okay, halfbacks. Of course, Alex Mitchell. What do I say, of course, for? A lot of people want Ben Spencer. It's unfortunate that this is what we're down to because Alex Mitchell has barely played. He was decent in the final. He grew into the game, but he did have a hard time, I think, and looked a little bit off the pace. Ben Spencer, for that reason, is probably a better option to start. Ben Spencer, who is underrated by, Steve Borthwick. A lot of people say when he plays for England, he doesn't look as good as he does for Bath, but, England haven't been great. Maybe he just hasn't had the platform. I'd pick Ben Spencer to start right now, to be honest with you, except that I have to have Finn Smith starting at 10. So it just makes sense to have Mitchell, who's so familiar with him, right? So it's Mitchell and Finn Smith to start, and I'd have Spencer on the bench, and I'd have Marcus Smith on the bench. Marcus Smith, I don't care about him covering fullback, although that is a factor, I suppose. I just think he's our next best fly half and can offer something in attack. Midfield is where I really get depressed. I get really worried. I think this is where we lose the game, probably, because I'm just not interested in Seb Atkinson at 12. Again, I'd love him to prove me wrong, but he's had a few opportunities for England and done nothing. I've seen him play for Gloucester all year, and he's been okay. I just don't see anything about him that makes me think he should be starting for England. Jancy van Rensburg, I'd love to have starting, although it might not be a good idea to have him start against South Africa because that gives them another little subplot that they can use to get fired up about. Honestly, I think the best option at 12 is Max Ajomo. Personally, I would have liked to have had Max Ajomo and Ollie Lawrence there. And I know a lot of people, it's almost become like trendy to jump on this bandwagon that Ollie Lawrence is lazy in defense because of one or two clips. Now maybe it is a recurring problem, but I've watched a lot of Ollie Lawrence over the years. And I think with all these players, you're always looking at what they, what they bring and what you lose with them, unless you are lucky enough to have a very complete player. In the case of Ollie Lawrence, I think what he brings is so positive and so good. I think it's irresponsible of Borthwick not to have picked him. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, obviously I'm not in camp and I don't know everything, and maybe his attitude is terrible. I just think in terms of what he can offer, going up against South Africa, it's like you're going to have to gamble a little bit. You got to, because we're not a better team than them on paper, especially after the Six Nations that we just had. And I think you need Ollie Lawrence's physicality. And we don't have it. We just don't have it in any other player who is available there. The closest would be Max Ajomo. And Max Ajomo is also, he actually is a very complete player, isn't he? I don't think he has a lot of his main weakness might just be that he doesn't have a lot of test match experience. But he's got great skills, great awareness. He's got a good attacking game. He's defensively very good. And when I saw him in DC playing against the US, he was one of the guys I looked at and I was like, fucking hell, he's a lot bigger in person than he looks on TV. He's big. So I'm definitely starting him at 12. Now I have to do another thing that will shock some of my sheddies and will either, I don't know what it'll do to Chiefs fans. It might upset them. It might make them happy, but I got to have Slade at 13. Who else are you going to have? You could move Freeman to 13, but I'll get into it, but I think the back three we have is so good. I don't want to move him away from there. And I'm not sure that Tommy Freeman alongside Ollie Lawrence is the right option. I think yes, I said you've got to gamble a little bit, but I need some solidity there. And I think Henry Slade is the safest choice at 13. I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting some other centres, because the only people you could have is Freeman or Seb Atkinson. Am I forgetting someone? I feel like I must be, but regardless, Henry Slade is my starting 13. I've been saying for a couple of seasons that I'm done with Henry Slade and I don't think he should really be an England option, but he is. And with in the situation we find ourselves in, I think that Max Ajomo and Henry Slade are the best options for the midfield. Okay. And then the back three, no one could complain about. Feo Oboso, Tommy Freeman, and George Furbank. That is a quality back three. I actually don't know that much about South African rugby right now. And they got Cheslin bloody Colby. You can't really, he'd be in my all-time world 15. So, but is he at his best? I don't know. And he's not that tall. Mind you, does it matter? He flies through the air like someone twice his size. So I don't think he's going to be that exploitable. Anyway, who am I missing on the bench? I have one bench spot still. Should it be a back? Should it be a forward? I think that the game plan has to be a very aggressive, incredibly... we've got to move the ball around. We've got to, because we're not going to be able to match them really in the set piece. We certainly won't be able to outdo them. We're not going to be bigger, but we can throw the ball around and play some exciting rugby. I think that will be what they try and do. So players are going to get fucking exhausted, the pack in particular. So I probably should have another forward. But how do you not make that extra forward Henry Pollock? It just makes so much sense. And I'm so goddamn stubborn. I'm sticking to my no Pollock in South Africa plan. So maybe I'd stick, terrible choice, Charlie Yules. By the way, Charlie Yules is nowhere near as bad as everyone likes to act like. He can be a little bit of a liability with his discipline, but he's been playing really well for Bath. And I think players are going to be exhausted. It would be very nice to bring on, take off an exhausted George Martin or an exhausted Ollie Chesham and bring on Charlie Yules all fired up. I actually would do that. Honestly, if I, from the past, listened to this 23 that I just named, I'd go, who is this piece of shit, Eddie Stevens? Get him off. I'd just turn it off and I wouldn't listen to me again. But it's partly players better than I used to think, partly just circumstances and tactics. And that's the team I've got to stick with. So that's my squad. Thank you. I don't know, I've got to end this now. It's a quick one. It's a quick podcast. Thanks for listening. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe so I can do more of these. I don't really get much feedback on these videos because I barely ever do them. But generally what I do is I post a video. It gets a few people looking at it and responding to it. And I go, that's not enough people. Fuck this. And I stop doing them. And then a few months later, I do another one. And every time I expect to have a huge number of views and stuff. The sad thing is I alienate South Africans because they are both the worst and the best rugby supporters in the world, meaning their attitude is terrible. They're very unsporting. They say horrible, stupid shit all the time. Horribly cocky, but they also have the best team in the world and they support them in greater numbers and care about them more than any other team's fans. So I've lost track. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Thank you for watching. Follow my YouTube channel, subscribe to it, like the videos, whatever. Follow me on Instagram at Eddie Stevens Massive. Follow me on TikTok if you're a raging homosexual at Eddie Stevens 0. Subscribe to this podcast because it's usually better than this. Well, that's not true. That is not true. But do it anyway because why not? Who's it going to hurt? Okay, bye.